Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christenson, and joining me, as always, for a little bit of old school StreamYard BBB, we got no producer. It's just Andy and I against the world. How are you, Mr. Molitor?
And yeah, while the goose is away, the mice will play. Or I don't know what that's not how's the saying go? Shit,
Do geese eat mice?
Edit this. We're starting over from scratch. No, Dan is traveling for the holidays. It'll be kind of a shoelace production from here on out. Although, like, deep dive should be normal tonight. We have Matt stepping in to help me produce that. Drew and I will be doing that normally. Motoy will be here tomorrow. Alex and I will be here tomorrow as well to give out some more picks. Kind of a light day in the picks department. As Alex mentioned yesterday, tennis is in a weird spot. December tennis is rough. That's where, thank God, my basketball model's almost tightened up for the year. The NBA will continue through the holidays. We'll probably have to have some hockey guests on. We'll do some bowl season stuff. If you do want some hockey, Matt, who sometimes substitutes on here for me, and you, he's been writing hockey previews over on BETSPERTS damn near every day. He's actually been doing fairly decent. So that would be a good time to fade him because he's probably going to come back to earth. But yeah, we'll probably do some hockey stuff eventually. What did you think of the game last night, Noops?
It's just kind of like a big kind of bummer and a letdown. We missed the first touchdown score. None of my other guys scored. Not that anybody cares about my fantasy team, but I needed 3 more points from stinking Tom Brady. Just don't throw that interception. Get one of those passes a little bit better. It was just a mess of a game. It felt like the Giants should have been able to stay within the number, but that's kind of the story of the Giants this season. It's just like, all right, the defense is kind of good. They have flashes every once in a while, but they just kind of fumble around and mess it up at the end. So just an ugly game, one that I was happy that there was something else to flip back and forth to.
Yeah, and I don't think the Giants were horrific, but a pretty bad, especially in the second half where I actually had bet against them. Our halftime bet was definitely just continuing to ride on the Tampa Bay is dominating them right now. But I think in the second half, they had a very poorly blocked 4th down play where there was a free rusher, a interception basically to a defensive lineman who was standing kind of by himself, and then another hilarious interception. So you're not going to compete with a team that puts up 30 on your ass if you're going to end drives like that. And that is the story of the New York Giants. And honestly, I brought this up in a chat because Jason Garrett's brother, who is a basketball coach, was he a basketball coach? Now, maybe I'm misreading that tweet now. Either way, he is a coach. And he was fired. I think maybe
he's a football coach.
Probably a football coach. I don't know why I have basketball in the head, but he got fired the other day. So if Jason Garrett, who got thrown under the bus, gets fired, it should be the most hilarious Thanksgiving in the Garrett household. Hopefully they have a sister who's like a successful surgeon so she can rub that in her face a little. But yeah, it was kind of an ugly game overall. Hopefully we get some better stuff on Thanksgiving because of course we will. We have Tim Boyle versus Andy Dalton. What could be better than that?
So many things.
so many things. Turkey stuffing,
I'm with the family.
Cranberry sauce. Go play your turkey bowl. So
listen to some of your weird stories.
Yeah, light slate in the association tonight, but you did have one pick you wanted to talk about. I'm with you here. I'm going for it. Tell me about it.
It's a little tough here because it's on the move. The Knicks, and this is kind of a funky spot. You know, there's a particular person we like to fade who actually has this at a better number than us. Was able to grab this at 4.5 just before the show. It seems like Anthony Davis is maybe more questionable than he is probable. Like he was listed this morning, so this actually has jumped out to Knicks -6. At this point, I don't know if I could tell you to play the 6. Maybe look at a Knicks team total over. I'm going to pull that up right now and see what that number looks like. Actually, it looks like this is off the board a handful of places, but here we go. Knicks team total over. I'm looking at 110.5. Without Anthony Davis here, it's going to be tough for the Lakers to score. So maybe look at a Knicks team total over, maybe sell some points, try to get this out to like -8 at a nice number because it's just building up to be kind of a really bad spot for a Lakers team that's just been down in some of these East Coast spots. So like the Knicks tonight, again, wait and see. Maybe the number bounces back a little bit. Again, as much as we've heard that Anthony Davis is questionable. He's talked a lot about trying to play through whatever illness he has. Apparently it's not COVID, but he's sick. So instead of trying to get better, he's going to force himself to play basketball and I guess get everyone else sick. I don't really know what the plan is there.
Maybe today's the day he'll play the one. with a stomach flu. Whatever, your day can't get any worse. Whatever, do it. So
it's just wild. Yeah, I mean, the other games, you look at Miami's laying a bunch of points in Detroit. Thought about maybe a Detroit team total under. I might circle back to that one at some point, but already a pretty low number. You've got Denver getting 6 points in Portland. Again, it looks like Jokic might be out. If Jokic is in, that's going to be a nice spot for Denver against a Portland team that looks really bad. And the Clippers laying 5.5 against Dallas. It looks like Luka Doncic is going to be out. So that number kind of makes sense. Again, might look at the Clippers there, but just a tough slate. Again, a lot of injuries kind of piling up. And it is a Tuesday, actually a TNT Tuesday. They're not afraid. I guess there's no NFL tonight, so they're going to put some sinking basketball on TV. It's annoying, but
you say TNT or THT?
TNT.
That's a player I learned about.
It could be a Talon Horton Tucker Tuesday. We'll see. I mean, he's playing for the Lakers now, and there's nobody else there. Could be good for him. We hope not. So, yeah, find a way to get on the Knicks here. Again, a team total over. Maybe try to sell some points on the spread a little bit. But like the Knicks tonight, and everything else is kind of.
You also had a future you wanted to talk about, but before you do that, I wanted to ask you an opinion. And this was just a conversation that Drew and I had last night after the show, after the halftime show. We talked a little about the Suns as we were waiting for the Spurs to ultimately come back and cover, which was awesome. But he said, I might bet against the Suns multiple times this week and then take a future on them to win the West at the end of the week. Your thoughts? I mean, you brought it up a little in the NBA chat. You were looking at the Western, or were those championship numbers, or was that?
Those are West Coast odds. If you look now, basically everywhere. Although Phoenix has a much better record than Utah so far, Phoenix is behind Utah in basically every futures market. And I think that Drew is probably right. There is a timing element to this. But I don't know at what point the schedule kind of eases up for them a little bit. They're on this road trip now. They're going to be at Cleveland, at the Knicks, and then it goes Nets, Warriors. They get a little break with the Pistons, but then Warriors, Spurs, Celtics, Clippers, Blazers, Wizards. I guess that section there is a little bit soft, and maybe I'll look kind of just before Christmas to grab some of their stuff. But I am trying to wrap my head around why there's so much optimism in the Jazz. The Lakers are ahead of the Suns because the Lakers are always ahead of everyone because everyone just bets the Lakers. Books can get as much Lakers money as they want at basically whatever number they put up. So
it's kind of like the Dodgers prices in baseball. Like I talked to some bookmakers on that who were in bad shape on some Giants numbers late in the year. And they said, like, we were in bad shape, but you can basically just hang the Dodgers at whatever price and people will bet it anyway. So he's like, just the volume of Dodgers money all year long has kind of evened things out, and we'll be just fine on this. So yeah, the Lakers were kind of like that last year where it was like, man, this team isn't going to be good. This team isn't going to get a good seed. And they were still a little high in the future. So, all right, if you are one of those last minute shoppers, if you have that hard to buy for uncle, father, nephew, postal delivery man, I think Alex just kind of solved it for you. That's what you get him for Christmas, a Suns future. You said that right before you go somewhere you can get a paper ticket, put that right in the stocking. Guess what? You're cheering for the Suns now to win the Western Conference.
Yeah, I will say, looking at the schedules, and that's really what futures are all about. Try to time your entry, and then we'll talk about that with the one that I did actually bet earlier this week. Phoenix has a tough spot here. The Jazz have kind of a soft spot in their schedule. And as I start to look at it, like middle of December, like the week before Christmas will probably be a nice low point on Phoenix. Again, they should be arguably second favorite to win the Western Conference, not fourth, fifth like they are now, but we'll wait a little bit. But there is one that I did have because the Milwaukee Bucks.
On the other half of the bracket.
The Milwaukee Bucks are coming off just a brutal stretch of games as of a few days ago. The time to bet, I actually put something in my calendar. It was on the 18th. Today is the day to bet Bucks futures. And the numbers haven't moved too much. But, if you go back and look, they basically went through a stretch of Jazz, Knicks, Wizards, Sixers, Knicks, Celtics, Hawks, and then the Lakers, which turns out wasn't too tough, but all kind of jam-packed into like a week period. There, a couple of those spots were 5s and 7s and things like that. A lot of injuries to them to deal with. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's healthy. They've gotten a chance to play some kind of warm-up games against Oklahoma City, Orlando. They just beat twice. They've got Detroit coming into town now. They do have to go out of town to Denver, but, Jokic has been kind of unhealthy. It could be a really nice spot there. At worst case, they go to Indianapolis to play the Pacers and then come back home, Charlotte, Toronto. Just a really soft spot in their schedule. And you start to look in the market here, they're plus 350. They're the second favorite to win the Eastern Conference, which makes sense to me. They should be the second favorite, but I have this closer like 2-1. And you start to look at some sharper spots. Circa has this at 250. Now, futures aren't as sharp, but it's still Circa. They're getting the biggest bets on some of this stuff. And you go to look at some of the books. This is starting to drift down to plus 250. Again, I think this should be closer to 2-1, given, the Nets are playing very well. They still look fine. Just there's a lot of question marks around this Kyrie Irving situation. It doesn't seem to be getting better. And if Kyrie's not going to come back, this Bucks team is basically on the same level as the Nets. So it's time to start grabbing some of this. Plus 350. Honestly, anything better than 3-1 looks pretty good. There's even a particular book that will let you bet in Bitcoin, Andy. So you get a little plus 350, build a little Bitcoin in on there. It's all sorts of good stuff. But let's get some Bucks futures again. Just grabbing the conference price. The title odds are a little bit funky. I just see more value in this number overall.
That's how you get a tummy ache, is when you do one of these and then Bitcoin rips and you realize how much you've actually staked in US dollars come, playoff time, which whatever.
Kind of like the Tampa Bay Lightning in that first game.
I'm loving the chat. They're thinking about, Patrick's thinking about getting a son's future for his wife. And then he said, maybe throw it in a Tiffany's box, really throw her off. I'm not sure that's a good move. I feel like
maybe you look for an exact finals, a little Suns Bucks action. I haven't seen that number, but I bet it's a nice big number.
I am going to go hunt that down. So no basketball yet for me. I'm still trying to fine tune some things. I don't want to do a shitty job of betting basketball. It's just a little early for me. Hopefully Monday on this very show, I will give out some picks. Obviously follow me on BETSPERTS. I'll track them all there like I always do. So you can follow me at Andy, A-N-D-Y. Pretty easy. It's not just because I work there, but I was just an early adopter, so I got an easy name. OG user handle. I did bet MACtion tonight, coming off a decent college football week where I went 2-1 in random games that I decided to bet on to fill some content
That's
time.
a winning week.
Similar tonight, this was a 30.5 when I bet it. And as much as this is the part I hate the most about the content game. It's like, hey, guess what? I can't just here's when I bet the bet. All right, let's do a show right now just so I can make sure everybody gets the bet. Like if everybody wants to make the same bet as me. That's what sucks about this whole thing is the fact that I placed this and did some research on this like an hour and a half ago when it was 30.5. This is moving up a little. I like this quite a bit. The only qualm I had was the fact that Western Michigan hasn't been as good on the road, but in DeKalb? I don't know how you say this word. I'm going to have to ask Rooney.
Oh, DeKalb, whatever. It's fine.
DeKalb?
Yeah, it's not here to look it up. This is what happens, folks.
DeKalb, but I feel like you say the L pretty hard. DeKalb, Illinois, we are going to be playing. And Western Michigan, again, averaging a little over this for the season, but more importantly, the Northern Illinois defense is pretty stinky. It is like 105th in the country. They're averaging quite a few yards per game. If you take that out and extrapolate it to what it should be in average points, it's over this. Western Michigan's offense is a top 25 offense in the country, including all the Power 5 teams, if you just go by yards per game. So this has been a good offense this year, despite it's weird for me when I start looking at these college teams, like, fuck, how are we going to get all these points? They run the ball so much, but some of these teams are like, they're knocking off like 6 yards a carry, though. It still moves down. So, and Northern Illinois has been a weird team. They're kind of like the Steelers from last year. It's like, man, they keep winning, but they're not that good. They keep winning games by, just like, well, they've won so many games by just a few points. And, I think almost all their victories have been like single score victories, which isn't, it can be a good thing. Like, oh, you're getting it done in close games. But at the same time, it's like, man, you're never really blowing teams out. And they do. Somebody brings this up. This is the last point. Patrick makes it for me. NIU also potentially resting some players. They are in the MAC title game, regardless of what happens. They have enough wins already. So I'm pretty sure that's accurate. I said it with enough confidence where I think it was accurate. And they will be playing for a MAC title. So they are possibly in a little bit of a look-ahead spot, and I like Western Michigan to run it up in Illinois tonight.
I like
Somebody asked about Champions League plays. I don't have any, man. You know how I play the Champions League? I just wait for one of these good teams to go down, and then I live bet overs. It's not very scientific, and it doesn't always work. But I like just chasing,
is this Man U's first game with their new coach? Is that a thing we should be considerate of? I don't know.
Yeah, no, but it's Villarreal. I don't know if I want to bet them there. It's in wherever Villarreal is, Spain.
Spain, yeah.
Estadio de la Ceramica.
Are the home teams on top in soccer? That's always very annoying.
Well, it depends which app you're using, but yeah. Nothing. I'll see if I have some guys that are betting Champions League. Maybe Dylan. He writes for BETSPERTS. Still does some soccer stuff. I feel like he might have had some action on the Chelsea
Young Boys over.
The Young Boys.
Young Boys out Atlanta.
Yeah, you know what? It's a bet. I'm gonna go look at what the market is now. This is actually
over 3.25 is plus 105. Let me see what the 3 is.
I'm gonna sell it to 3.5. I think.
Right.
Over 3.5 plus
3.5 plus 128. I'm seeing.
Sean says he's taking the Young Boys in the half goal against Atlanta. Is this a first leg or is this still group? Oh, so this is still group stage. All right, so I'm fine with this. Young Boys haven't been scoring a ton lately, but that has not stopped Atlanta. Atlanta has had at least 4 goals in 4 out of the past 5. Not 4 goals, but 4 goals in each game. So the only one was against, I almost said Caligula. That is not it, right? Cagliari. It was only a 2-1, but they've had a couple 2-2 draws, a 3-1, a 5-2 last time out, hosting Spezia. So over 3.5 sold out to plus 125, 130. Official Champions League play for me. Young Boys does not start until 3 p.m. Eastern.
I could dig it. And by the way, if you wanted, I found the Suns Bucks to meet in the finals again, which again it's a repeat, would be 30-1.
Put me down.
40 out there somewhere.
Put me down. It is kind of a terrible name.
Oh, it's just I think it's tough because we're used to Atlanta. So Atlanta,
I think
I'm sure Italy is fine.
I think
does he mean Young Boys?
Yes,
wow.
He clearly means Young Boys. That made me laugh so much when you assumed it was at Atlanta. And that's how you can tell. That's how you can tell you bet too much soccer is when Atlanta autocorrects to at Atlanta in your phone. That is when you've become too much of a secret soccer degen. So, all right, we're gonna go Suns Bucks finals exacta 30-1. We're gonna go whatever number you can get over in Young Boys at Atlanta. I don't know why I have to say that with such a staccato, but that is the way it's going to come out. If you're still hanging out in the YouTube chat, which I know you are, Patrick, Samurai, Sean, hit the thumbs up. Again, get your turkeys out. They need to start thawing. It might honestly be too late at this point. Get some brine recipes ready. Rick Daddy 69420. We'll catch you tomorrow. Noops. I hope you have a great Tuesday. I hope everyone has a great Tuesday. And I just remembered I'm the producer. I'm just waiting for Dan to hit the music as I'm rambling here. And he's not going to do it. I'm going to have to do it.
He's not going to do it. You are.
See you guys. At Atlanta.